Sure. So a little bit about me and my background and why you should listen to me about working with athletes and kind of how I got into hypnosis and how I got into working with athletes and what my journey is now. So I now have seen probably thousands of clients. I started out in hypnosis using hypnobirthing because I have a degree in psychology, and I decided to use hypnobirthing to birth our third child. It was amazing. The OB was so impressed. He said, if you want to teach it in the area, I will endorse you. So I actually went to Connecticut to take the course in hypnobirthing. And then I taught that on weekends, and it was kind of a side job for a while. And most of us that got into hypnosis, it's kind of a side job for a while. So I did that for a bit. And then I decided to get trained and certified in hypnosis. Once I got trained and certified in hypnosis, I was a generalist hypnotist. And I know that so many of you are, and so many of us are when we get started. And the reason is because we want to see clients for everything. And we're afraid that if we say I'm a specialist anxiety, that all the other clients won't see us. So I decided that I was going to see everybody for everything. I remember doing group classes for weight loss. I remember talking on stress. I mean, I was all over the board. And yet I didn't really know how to explain my services or who I was. I would just say, oh, I'm a hypnotist. And then I'll never forget being at a conference with my husband in the hot tub, and someone said, what do you do? I'm a hypnotist. Can you make me cluck like a chicken? You know, that same old, right? And it's so frustrating. And so what I learned is that when you have more of a elevator speech, instead of saying a hypnotist, hypnotherapist, when you have a specialty, you can say something like, hey, I work with athletes to help them get the confidence to reach their peak performance when they start to doubt themselves. And I do that using hypnosis. So when you have a target market and people that you work with, you can tailor it, and it makes it easier, and people find you more. I found that I was on the airplane one time on the way to California, sat next to a man. He asked me what I did. I told him exactly that. And he said, oh my gosh, I've been looking for someone like you for my son. And right then and there, he was a client because I worked virtually. And then I think I saw like 3 or 4 of his teammates from that. So when I started, I had 2 boys, and now 3 after that were wrestlers. And my husband was an elite wrestling coach. And so he said, why don't you see athletes for hypnosis? And I thought, well, I never thought about that. I wanted to work with people with to help them with anxiety. And I'm a helper and I want to help people. And I didn't really think about working with athletes. And he said, well, I remember when I was in college, I worked with a sports hypnotist. I don't remember a lot of what he said or did. I just remember he gave me a cassette tape. Now this is aging me, right? A cassette tape. And I listened to it all the time. And it was super massive for me. It super helped. So I think you should work with athletes. And at the time then, he helped me write a few scripts. I started researching it. And then I started seeing some college athletes that he had known that he was coaching, and they told other athletes. And then our son went to the Olympic Training Center, and our boys started to wrestle, and they were really great wrestlers. And so I just learned more about the mindset of what it is to have mental toughness with athletes. And I would do mindset training with hypnosis. And that's how I developed the program that I do now. And so Josh was our oldest son, and he's a wrestler, and he was an amazing wrestler. So part of what I do now, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to ask you guys some questions. We're going to have some interactive stuff here in just a minute, but it's because really, I was just saying the other day in my WhatsApp group, we have a WhatsApp group for anyone that's taken my course, and we support each other. And I was just saying, you guys, it's so much easier to get athletes than it is to talk to hypnotists, hypnotherapists about investing in themselves. And what I know is that sometimes we don't want to invest in ourselves, or sometimes we don't feel like we're worth it. We don't want to pay for the coaching. We don't want to do another program. And yet athletes and their parents will invest in themselves. So it's easier, I feel, to get athlete clients than it is even to, find people to coach and mentor that want to work with athletes. And so my son is part of my legacy, because I'm going to tell you a little story about him when he went to college. He went to college on a wrestling scholarship.